The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Earnestly Podcast coming to you on November 20th, 2022. How you doing? Coming to you about 10:44 p.m. Kind of late for a podcast, but I've had a very busy weekend, very productive weekend, a very nice weekend. Lot getting done. Seeing family. We'll get to it in a second. Of course, this podcast on all podcast catchers: Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. Also, my YouTube page, especially, guys. Please visit my YouTube page, Earnest EJ Christian on YouTube. As I was saying, put out the weekend because I had a rare Saturday off from work this weekend. Because this weekend was my brother's and my future sister-in-law, his fiance's baby shower. It's actually the second baby shower of the fall. They're expecting their baby in January, although I think they're gonna have it much earlier, probably late December. We celebrating the baby shower this Saturday, so I took a day off from work months ago, and it was actually a really nice weekend, nice Saturday. I've had a Saturday off since before COVID. I've been working Saturdays since the end of the pandemic, the end of the lockdown. The schedule they've given me, and haven't been able to drop a Saturdays in a long time. At this point, I don't even care anymore because I'm so used to working Saturdays now at this point. So I don't want to complain about it anymore. But it was nice to have a nice little Saturday off. I started my Saturday off pretty cool. I went first off, my oldest son Eli. He goes to Saturday school once every few weeks, and this weekend happened to be one of the days he had Saturday school. So we took him to Saturday school. I took him to Saturday school at 9:00 in the morning, and that was cool. And then my wife and I. And my youngest son, Logan, we decided to go to breakfast together. We actually discovered a deli place called Bagels and up the street from our house. We discovered it actually a couple of days ago, a couple Thursdays ago Thursday, when we had a day off together. And we were looking through a coupon book, which I get once a year, that has all the different stores and restaurants and whatnot throughout the county and throughout the city where we live at. And I hadn't used the book in a long time, and we realized that the year is almost over, and we've been trying to go through the book and trying to burn off all much coupons we can before the year is over. So we found that place on Thursday. We went there Thursday. We were very impressed with the breakfast there. I had a bagel egg sandwich. I had a great it was a great sandwich, of course. So we decided to go back again for seconds, and took our youngest son Logan with us to the place, and he loved the food as well too. Also, he had a bagel ham sandwich, of course. We had 4 coupons, so we already burned off two to 4 coupons. We're gonna go back again probably next week or two. You try to burn off those remaining 2 coupons because you know what, use it or lose it, right? So, and I always buy those books every year anyway, from a coworker of mine. So hopefully we try to get the 2023 edition of the book. So it was good. We had breakfast in the morning. Got back home and got ready to go to the baby shower. Now what's cool about us and my family is that because we're a Caribbean-born family, because we, baby showers are one thing, but the way we do things, like everything we do is a party. Like we're from Trinidad. Our family's from Trinidad, so everything's a party. So it's not just a typical baby shower. You do the usual gifts and the usual games, all that. We had those games and whatnot, but it was also a situation where we were able to dance, and it basically was like having a party, and it was a great time. Caribbean food, a nice Caribbean spread, curry chicken, jerk chicken, roti, which I found later on, fried rice and Jamaican patties and whatnot. It was definitely, I would say, one of the best baby showers I've ever been to, and we had a great time, and see my family and see my extended family. Some who flew into town, my cousins, flew into town. One from North Carolina, cousin Errol, who has been on this podcast a long time. One of the early stalwarts of this podcast. He flew in town. Minus his wife and 3 kids, and soon to be a 4th one coming in May next year. And then my other cousin Elliot, who flew in from Trinidad without his fiance on, and they had a great time as well too. Just seeing family and seeing people, because especially since COVID and the pandemic, and whatnot, seeing family less and less, as of late. So any chance we have to go spend time with family, we're going to do that. So. And it's funny because Saturday I felt so disconnected too with my usual routine. When I go to work, I'm still locked in with college football, and I was so disconnected with college football this weekend. I was disconnected with everything this weekend, honestly, because I was so in the moment to be with family, both Saturday and Sunday. Like Saturday, you have all these wacky upsets on Tennessee losing, and Michigan almost losing, and TCU almost losing, and all these wacky moments in college football this year, and I wasn't able to really watch it, and I wasn't really there. I see the scores, but I'm like, it doesn't translate to me in the same way. But I had a great time, and while we were there at the baby shower, my other cousin Brooke, she happened to be flying in today. She couldn't make it to the baby shower, but she was flying in the day after the baby shower. She sent us all a group text asking what we're doing, and she said what we're doing on Sunday, and basically she's flying in, and she wanted us to come over to her mom's house, or my Aunt Beverly, and she wanted us to go there and have fellowship on Sunday today to celebrate her son's 10th birthday, her oldest son, her second child, her oldest son Evan, who turned 10 today, and we did that. So today we went down there today in the rain in Miami again. Another trip there. Like I wanted to go, obviously, to be with my family. I didn't want to go because of obviously I like to be home in my element and be home and watch watch football and read and listen to podcasts and just kind of do things at my home, because I don't go out often anyway. So Saturday for me was a lot as it was. I was exhausted, but like I said, when you have these opportunities to do these things with family and to go out and just to fellowship, because you never know how much time you have or how much time someone has in the family, and these opportunities aren't always common. I'll be able to watch football next weekend and the week after that and all that, but my family's in town and trying to spend time and whatnot. You want to take advantage of those times, so I decided to to do that. And not only that, not just for me and my siblings and my cousins, but also even my kids, because our cousins and my siblings all have kids themselves too, so they're bonding too. The second generation of family, they're all bonding and whatnot. So we went down there today, had a good time. Went in the rain. Went to visit my brother first, Eric. Saw his house for the first time finally after all this time. Nice condo he has there, townhome, in Miami. And then we went 1 hour later. We went to my cousin's, my aunt's house to celebrate her son's birthday. It was literally about 2 minutes away from his house, my brother's house. And we were there for a couple hours. And it was a really good time. Had a great time. Had cake and some pizza and some salt and ackee and what else? We had fried chicken wings and all that. And again, I also had football. I had on Red Zone on my phone. So, but I wasn't locked in. Like I was following the scores and I was checking in on scores, and I see a play here and there. But I wasn't locked in. I wasn't locked in at all on football. I was disconnected, just like Saturday, where I was disconnected with college football. I was also the same way with the NFL today. Like I know what's going on, but I'm not really connecting with it. All my friends are texting me about what's going on and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really following the games, dude. I'm like, I know I see the scores, but it's not translating to me in the same way because I'm trying to be in the moment with my family, honestly. So, and again, like this is one of those rare times you have a chance to spend time with family you don't get to see as often as you want. You try to take advantage of that time. But we were down there for a couple hours and we had a good time. A lot of rain though, especially the entire coast of South Florida. Driving from Palm Beach County down to Miami-Dade, and the entire ride down south was full of rain. And in fact, when we were leaving this evening, there was like a little bit of flooding outside the house. So luckily we had the SUV today, so we were able to get through, not a problem, and got home by 8:00 tonight, and put the kids to sleep and whatnot, and had a good time. It was a great day. It was nice productive weekend with family. Some family, we didn't see obviously, but you got family coming down Christmas time, especially too. So we'll be able to do this again, hopefully over the holidays. And it's a great time with people, cousins and siblings and my dad, and see my grandmother who she has early onset of dementia. So I'm starting to prioritize now going to see her a little more often now because trying to get her to remember me and my kids and stuff because her memory is starting to fade. Being there and talking to her and whatnot. I realize that time spent is important. So and like I said, it's so easy to always get into your own world and just doing the things that you want to do and your lifestyle, your routine. And me, I'm big on routine. I have a certain way I do things on a daily basis and whatnot. But it's not a bad thing once in a while to upend the apple cart and to sometimes do things differently. Especially when it involves family and seeing family and whatnot. So I'm glad today happened. I'm glad Saturday happened. We had a wonderful weekend. Celebrating my brother's soon to be my nephew. Soon to be nephew coming, Ethan, in a matter of weeks. And then, of course, helping my cousin's son, Evan, his 10th birthday. And just seeing all the kids grow. See, everybody's getting bigger. Everybody's getting, time's flying. Time is moving. Time's the essence. And, you don't get this time back, obviously, So it was good to fellowship with family. Really, really good. Now, I said, of course, didn't watch any football. Well, I said I wasn't intent on football today as I normally, am today because, for family, of course. But the New York Giants lose today to Detroit. I think the final score was 31-19. I think it was 31-18, 1-2. And they're 7-3, and look, they had a good year. They've had a really good year. They've already matched the number of wins I thought they'd have. I predicted before the year started. But it's interesting now because now the Giants have been thus far one of the darlings of the season now. But now we're at 7-3. We're now coming out of week 11 with now 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 7 weeks to go in a year. And I said in the podcast 2 weeks ago that for the Giants to feel comfortable for the Giants to make the playoffs, they had to bank wins early. So if you looked at the schedule coming to the year and looking at the back end of the schedule, you realize that things get tougher starting this week in Dallas, okay, on Thanksgiving. So I was saying weeks ago that the Giants had to get to 8 wins, go 8-2. This stretch here where they played the Texans last week, who are the worst team in football, in my opinion, okay, and then you had the Detroit Lions this week, who now they're playing well now. They won 3 in a row, but obviously, they've been on most tough times this year. The Giants should be able to go be 8-2 heading to this tough stretch coming up against, starting in Dallas this week. And they lose this week. So now you're 7-3. Now, here's the good news there, Giants, right now. The playoff picture pretty much is cleaned up for the most part, barring any miraculous things happening around them in the wildcard picture. Like, if you go through the NFC wildcard picture right now, for example, like, here are your locks. So you go through the divisions. Obviously, the 7 spots to get into the playoffs. You have Eagles going to win the East, in my opinion. Okay, they won a squeaker against the Colts today. They win the East. Vikings about to lose to the Cowboys. They're going to win the North. Okay, 8-2. The Tampa Buccaneers should win the South. They're leading, obviously rough year, very very unbalanced by Brady and the company, but. Again, to me, they're the clear-cut best team in the division. They'll probably most likely win the South, and then you have the West, which right now currently Seattle's leading right now currently, but the Niners play tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, so we'll see how that goes. I think the Niners. I think the Niners are going to win the division. So that's 4 teams right there. Okay, now here's your wild card. You have 3 wild cards in NFC now. Dallas is a lock to get in the wild card. That's 1 spot taken there. Okay, you have. Most likely the loser, the team that does not win the West, which is either Seattle or San Francisco, will get that next wild card spot. I'm thinking Seattle at this point. And if you look at the schedule, it looks like it's possible it's going to happen. So you got 1 spot left. Okay, the Giants are obviously, if the playoffs start today, the Giants are in the playoffs. There's only one other team right now that's realistically speaking in the playoff hunt that can steal that last spot from the Giants. And that's the Washington Commanders. So you go through the Giants' schedule, which I'm going to bring up here right now. Give me 1 second. Actually, as I'm doing this podcast, I'm watching the very end of the Chargers and the Chiefs right now. The Chargers, I think, are up, or actually, Chiefs, I think, are up by 3 currently. It's turned to a really good game, actually. Let me see. I'm going to look up the Giants' schedule real quick. So you got Dallas this week. So right now you're 7-3. That's a loss. Okay, let's be real. That's a loss. That's Dallas. So Dallas is 7-4. Okay, then you play the Commanders at home, and the Commanders are one of the hottest teams in the league right now. They're playing very good football right now. That's going to be a tough one, in my opinion. They should win that game though. They're at home, but again, the Commanders. This is not a gimme now. They're one of the hottest teams in the league right now. I'll give them a win for that one. So they'll be now 8-3. Okay, or 8-4 rather. Okay, then the next week home against the Eagles. That's a loss. The Eagles are playing good football, although the Eagles have been showing some warts recently. So 8-5. Okay, then the Commanders again on the road. I won't give it a loss. 8-6 for the Giants there now. Then the Vikings on the road. That's a loss. I'll give them 8-7. Colts at home, week 17. I'll give them the Giants a win there. That's 9-7 there. And then the Eagles week number 18 at home, a game where the Lions may not even need that game, honestly. Oh, no, not the Lions. I'm sorry, the Lions. The Eagles may not need the game, honestly, because by then they may have everything wrapped up on the number 1 seed in the NFC. So let's pretend that happens. Get the Giants that win. So they'll be 10-7. Okay. Now, had they won today against Detroit, you're feeling better about the Giants' chance of making the playoffs because then you're 8-2 with the same scenario playing out. But now because you lost a game you should have won. I mean, let's be real. You know, Detroit's playing much better football. Should have won the game though. Now you put yourself in a situation where you have to win. Pretty much, you can't lose both against the Commanders. You got to at least get a split against the Commanders and beat the Colts, and hopefully the Eagles will need that game week 18. So, do the Giants make the playoffs? Honestly, I still think their chances are solid, but I'm not very. I'm not going to say it's a lock because, as I've been saying all along, the Giants are a great story, but they're not a great team. And I think the reason they're 7-3, for example. A lot of it has to do with the fact that great coaching, Brian Daboll, who I think is, if not the leader for Coach of the Year, but definitely in the conversation. Let's be real. He's in the conversation. Maybe I won't be a leader anymore, but he's definitely in the conversation for Coach of the Year. And then, of course, Saquon Barkley has been amazing this year. Daniel Jones has been good enough this year, but we don't know if he's a franchise quarterback, and this is the year we're going to find out. The Giants did not pick up his option. With your options, so we'll see. So like I said, there's a lot of things to look out for the Giants moving forward. And like I said, I still have hope, but I'm also very skeptical about how things play out. So we'll see how things go week to week, for this team. As for the rest of the wacky football Sunday, like I said, I wasn't locked in, but I was able to watch enough to see enough to react to it. Obviously, things that stood out for week 17. The Eagles barely beat the Colts this week. Won in the final minutes of that ball game. The Patriots win 10-3 over the Jets over a punt return touchdown. That's it. The AFC East is actually bonkers right now. Every team in the division right now has a winning record. Currently, the playoffs started today. Every team in the division in the playoffs right now currently. Like I said, the Giants, losing to Detroit was a bit of a shocker. Baltimore winning by 10 over Carolina, but that game was close all the way through. That game was close to the fourth quarter. Washington on the road in Houston. Vegas, the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders winning with a walk-off touchdown from Derek. I think it was Derek Carr to the receiver, Devontae Adams. Of course, that's been a disaster in Denver. Russell Wilson and company. That's been an absolute disaster in Denver. The shocker of the weekend, of course, is the Dallas Cowboys. Not just they're winning the game, because I thought they won the game. The Cowboys bouncing back and winning 40-3 over the Vikings. And today, Vikings team that won a huge game in Buffalo this past week, last week rather. The Cowboys losing in heartbreak fashion to the Packers, and now, like I said, the Cowboys winning the game wasn't a shock to me because I thought they won the game, but it's the way they won. Honestly, very impressive win by the Cowboys. Like I said, as a Giants fan, you play the Cowboys this week on a short week on Thanksgiving Day, and you got to play that Cowboys team. Good luck with that. Bengals, of course, win 37-3 with the Steelers. That's obviously a gut check win for the Bengals as they continue to try to improve their playoff position now as we get into the final, weeks of the season. I always say Thanksgiving week is what I call pennant time, like pennant, like baseball, like September or the last 4 weeks of the season. September is always like the pennant races getting the full swing in baseball. To me, Thanksgiving week is where to me personally, the starting point where teams start really getting into quote unquote pennant time, positioning themselves for playoff spots and whatnot. So, like I said, a wacky NFL week. And this year's been wacky in general. So, we'll see how that goes. One last thing before we get out of here. I'm really, really tired. But I want to try to get some pods in this week because, like I said, my kids are off this week from school. So, my opportunity to record is a lot smaller right now. But I've been getting back into the political commentary again lately. I mean, obviously we just had the midterms a couple weeks ago, where the Democrats are going to hold the Senate. The Republicans win the House, but not in a way that I thought was going to happen. I thought it'd be a big red wave, and that didn't happen. And you guys know and listen to this podcast through the last couple of years that when Joe Biden got elected president and when he took over on the White House in January 2021, I made a decision to turn down the political noise. I mean, this podcast for a good while, but in 2020, coming to COVID, like from 2019, 2020, let's face it, the entire Trump era, I was heavily into the day-to-day political commentary. And then into the election 2020 and then going into early 2021. And then once Biden took over as president, that's the thing I think I impress on people is that the one thing Joe Biden did for me and for many people is that he turned on the noise. And I got burnt out with politics at that point for a while, to the point where I stopped. I still followed it, but it was different. Like I followed it, but I didn't feel like I had to be on every single headline that was going on. So I backed away for a little while. I backed away from the daily commentary on the show. Like I followed it personally, but there was no need for me to be emotionally attached to it in the same way I did when Trump was president. And then in the last couple of months, couple of weeks, especially too, with this year being, a big year for, obviously women's rights and, gun control became a thing again. And then, inflation's been a thing, of course, too. And then, all those things. And these final weeks leading to the midterms, I started engaging again and listening to podcasts again like I used to, and listening to daily commentary on YouTube, which it's been great for me because I've been using, as I said a couple weeks on the podcast, I've been using YouTube as my go-to now for following all the things in bite size I need instead of like depending on 1 hour shows here and 2 hour shows here and podcasts of 3 hours when I have like bite size of commentary that I listen to, whether it's CNN a little bit, whether it's The Hill, whether it's listen to Crystal Ball and the Breaking Points crew there on YouTube. It's been that's been kind of like my go-to now as of late too. Like I'll same thing with my sports. I'll listen to First Take and a couple of ESPN shows, maybe a couple of other podcasts I listen to, Dan Patrick and Rich Eisen and First Things First, and watch those shows and those segments in bite size. It's been great, but the political commentary has been back to that again. Which has been, strange. I mean, like I said, the volume is down now. I mean, although it's rising again because with Donald Trump now officially running for president for 2024, that I gotta be honest with you, I'm still very infatuated with that situation. I'm still, as much as I don't want Donald Trump to be president again. He's a very fascinating guy, and you can't ignore that. You can hardly ignore him. And then on top of that, now he's back on Twitter now. I don't think it's posted yet though. But Elon Musk, officially unsuspended his account last night, and Donald Trump can now post on Twitter again. So we're kind of going back a little bit to like pre-2021 days for me now here. Like I said, I'm not gonna be as, everyday politics on this podcast, and every episode I'm gonna bring up Donald Trump, and because I want to be able to keep a balance here, because I do enjoy listening to politics, and reading about politics, and reading about things that are going on day to day. Nancy Pelosi, of course, she's gonna give her majority's leadership spot now and all that. So a lot of moving and shakers. There's a lot of moving and shaking going on in politics now, not just with policies and whatnot, but also with people making decisions and whatnot. So, you don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss out at all. And I'm, back to watching my shows again, the circus, and back to watching Bill Maher again on a weekly basis and all these things. So yeah, I'm kind of back to pre-2021 days, but I'm hoping to keep balance and don't get burnt out and all that, and that's really the big challenge for me going forward. So, but anyway, I am exhausted. I got to work tomorrow, and like I said, this week is gonna be a the week for the kids because they're home from school because of Thanksgiving vacation. So we'll probably try to get another podcast to this week. We'll see how that goes. But again, I am on Twitter at EJChristian7, Earnest Freaking Podcast across all podcast catchers. Again, also check out my my YouTube page at Earnest EJ Christian. We will talk soon. And so then stay up. Hey.